I just made 400 millions out of thin air. Today we're gonna talk about how to make money on the side while you're not actively grinding. The reason I want to do that is because there's a lot of people I figured out that is not making any money at all if they are not actively playing the game. I think that's a mistake. So I'm not gonna give you 10 different ways of making millions of money here and millions of money there. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna show you how I figure out my way of making money, and then I'm gonna show you how I make my money. I'm making about 100 million today right now from doing absolutely nothing. What I'm doing whenever I have to find a new way of making money is I go into the marketplace, and then I go into any section out here, anything you want, into anything. Let's take horseshoe. I sort by price. I want something that has a decent base price, and then I want something that is low in stock but not completely out. That's what I prefer, right? Okay, so I'm scrolling down here. I can see there's some here. I see donkey light iron horseshoe. The reason why I would not be so interested in this item is because donkey armor is not very used, so not a lot of players is gonna buy this. That means it can take a long time before they sell out. If I did those, they are decent though. I think you can make money out of these. They sell for decent base price. I think they're probably fairly cheap to make if you want to make them, but I'm not gonna take that item. Let's take this one. I see a lot of people does this though, so this might not be the best option. Let's go with this one instead, the steel combat horseshoe. Steel combat horseshoe or light iron horseshoe. I basically go into my browser, I go into the steel combat horseshoe. That was not the one. Light steel horseshoe, combat horseshoe. There we go. Steel combat horseshoe. I go down here. I go into obtain from. I can get it from a box with product of design. I can make it too. That means I can click this item. I can go down here. I can go into craft it in, and this is where you can craft them. All these buildings is something that you can go to in game and craft the item, right? So combat steel horseshoe, I do know where one of those is because I happen to make horse gear myself. I have them over here. I go into one of them. Here it is, horse gear workshop, right? Steel combat horseshoe, it's this one. It takes you steel, it takes you powder of crevice, it takes you blackstone powder. Blackstone powder is basically free, right? You get that from grinding a few blackstone, that's fine. Steel costs you a little bit if you want to buy it, but you can make your worker gather it. Powder of crevice, you can make your workers gather that as well, if I am not mistaken. Basically, this item is very easy to make. Steel combat horseshoe, not the worst example I found here. Steel combat horseshoe, steel combat horseshoe, this one right here. You can make it in base and sell it, or you can sacrifice blackstones and make it +6 and make more money out of it. That's one way of doing it, right? But what I'm trying to say here, whenever you go in here and find something, sort it out, look for the base price, look for the in stock and see how many there is. If it's a 0, that often means, not every time, but it often means that it's almost impossible to get, so it might not be worth it. But check it out on the website and find out. Donkey leather combat saddle is another one, right? You can probably make this. The only bad side is that it's a donkey armor. Not a lot of people is using donkey armor, but you can probably do that and make a bunch of money, right? That's an option. What I do, what I make, this is where I might ruin my own market. I don't know. If you want to do it, go ahead. I don't mind. It's fine. But I went in here. I went down to the amount and I went into champion. This one right here. I went down the list like I just showed you. Light red plume champion. This has a decent base price and there is some. The reason here why this is good is because it has very good +6 price here. You can sell that for 20 millions a piece, right? Even the base price is good. But I'm gonna show you here. I make these over here. This is where I sacrifice, right? I have a ton of houses over to make this item alone. You see, it takes me iron ingots, it takes me oil of fortitude and blackstone powder and some feathers. The oil of fortitude, if you do farming, they can be made by yourself for free, basically. That's what I do. Iron ingot is your workers. Blackstone powder is basically free. It's just a few blackstones. The feathers here is what makes a lot of people not make this item, and it's why it is worth, because you have to gather this feather. The good thing about this one is that you gather these feathers where you also get the infinity potion piece, which is down here. The birds on Never Step is where you get these feathers. That means that the marketplace for feathers is absolutely astonishing. You see there's so many in here. It is the lowest price by the amount processing on them, and then process those once more time, and then you got the feathers you need. It costs you almost nothing to do that. I do have the math right here. This is the math, the ones that I made. You see the iron ingots up here, 17,000. I have the oil of fortitude. I have the blackstone powder. I did not calculate in the price on the feathers because you can get them yourself, and I don't know exactly how much money it is, but it's not a lot, okay? But this cost me 22 millions to make 249 of those items. This is what I made the last time I enchanted these. I had 249 of those, and it cost me 22 millions to make them. If I sell them in base price, it sells for 134 million. Already here I made a bunch of money, right? But that's not enough. I can make more money out of it. How do I do that? I enchant them to +6. +6. I made 26 out of 249. What I do when I enchant them, I do not fail stack. I don't do any fail stack. I just smash it all the way to +6. And that means I have to repair them again, and I repair them with themselves. I repair them with other armor. That gives me 435 millions out of 22 million. Those blackstones would have cost me 115 million. I do grind them myself though, so I do not use that amount of money on it. But in the end, if you calculate the blackstones with it, it is 420 millions I made out of 22 millions. I just made 400 millions out of thin air. It takes me 5 days. My workers is not the best, so you can do it faster, definitely. But it takes me 5 days to make 249 armors. That means if you calculate in the prices of everything, including the blackstones, I make 84 millions a day. If I do not calculate in the blackstones, I made 107 millions a day. But if I calculate all of this in here, out of it, because I get everything myself except the feathers. They are so cheap, I cannot just buy it. I'm lazy, right? So I'm just buying it, and I'm using some downtime to process it, and then it's ready to go. 107, it can be higher, it can be lower. To get it to +6, sometimes you fail a lot, sometimes you don't fail a lot. It really depends, of course. In this game, everything is RNG, so you can, it's more or less, I would say about 100 millions a day for 5 to 10 minutes of enchanting every 5 days. That's how I make my money. I would like not to ruin my own way of making money, of course, but I believe that I can find a new way if it is getting ruined. You can do this if you want. I don't mind. You have to sacrifice a bunch of points, of contribution points, to get all the houses in Caltheon, or wherever you want to do it. I do it in Caltheon because I like Caltheon, that's it. But you can do whatever you want. If you want to do it, go ahead and do it. If you don't want to do it, I have shown you how I found my way of making money. You can do that with anything in here. What I recommend you to do is to use the workshops. Then look how many materials of the items you want to make that your workers can go and gather themselves, so you don't have to do anything. Up here you can search for it, right? You can search for anything. You can take an example. Let's go for Waken workshop. Why not? Wakens. Oh, there's one here. There's one here. I did sell some Wakens down here for a decent price. It's basically the same. I went in here, searched up for the Wakens, and I found out that there is some of them. I think it's this one here, the Waken with registration merchant. Let's go into the website. Let's search for it. Merchant right here. Merchant Waken. Here, you see it here, right? I go into the product of design, and then you can see here what it takes to make them. Blackstone powder is simple. Soft hide is pretty simple. You would have to gather it or buy it, but it's still not a lot of money, considering that this item sells for 5 millions a piece, right? This is why some people do it. It's in stock, right? But soft hide, simple to get. The brass ingots is just your workers. That's simple. The plywood, you can make your workers gather it, and then you can process it a bit. It's not a lot you need to do. You can do like 1 or 2 AFK sessions and do this, and you got a bunch of them. The Awakened Horse you can buy in the shop. So basically, again, all these is really easy to make. And then you can click here, go down here into the crafted in, and then you can see that where you can craft it. There's one place in Altinova where you can craft the size 5.5 to 8. So I go into here, go down here to Altinova, 5 to 8. It is right there. And you go into Wake and Workshop right here. Merchant, this one, it is right here. And that's how you do it. That's how I find my ways of making money. I look at the price. I look at the stock, how many is there. I try to avoid the zeros because there's usually often a reason for that to be zero. And then I look at how easy it is to make. I look it up and then I figure out how to make it. And usually whenever it requires you to make them in a workshop with a worker, it can be very good money. That is how I make money. And if you guys is gonna take my way of making money, that is totally perfectly fine. I'm just gonna find a new way. And now I showed you how I'm gonna find out. I do recommend you though, if you want to find your own market, do this way of making money and then find your thing to make. Because right now there is a few people making the items that I do, but we are not a lot of people doing it. So the market is basically mine. But that's it for me, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask me down below, or you can come to my Twitch where I stream almost every single day. Link is in the description. Otherwise, have a good day, have a good night.